Yeah. Well, here we are, approaching a little green haven. This is Gateshead East Cemetery on a nice sunny morning. It's actually the 6th of June. D-Day. D-Day stuff on the TV, radio. I'll catch up with it later. But I thought, in the circumstances, going to walk around a cemetery isn't entirely unwise or inappropriate. And here it is. How you feel about cemeteries? I like them. I'm not sure if the cemetery is actually still in use. Most of these gravestones are from quite a few years ago. As you can see, 1864 there, this one. (1886). Generally see that it is a well-preserved Victorian cemetery, one of many that were created in the 19th century as towns expanded vastly during the Industrial Revolution, and the old concept of burial in the village churchyard, which you get with Gray's Elegy and all that in the 18th century, not really very possible. And cremation wasn't permitted until the late 19th century, and certainly didn't catch on really until the 20th, so these vast cities of the dead were constructed. And this is a relatively small one, but I mean in London you can find Highgate Cemetery and so forth. But this is Gateshead's version of that, I think. And of course it's a beautiful place for birds, insects, in areas that aren't too tightly pruned, wildflowers, lots of shrubs and trees. I think on a day like this it's seen at its best. You can see there are some flowers there, so there are a few newer burials, just not that many. There's a fascinating, looks like a sort of cairn affair there, which I don't think I've noticed before. What is that? Look at that. It's intriguing. This is hard to make out, but it's 18 something. Yeah, it's an 8. Yeah. Kate, beloved. I have to say, that is remarkable. Some a bit overgrown. I think this is perhaps a neglected corner to some extent. You've seen some work going on there, perhaps. Yeah. I don't know about you, but to me, cemeteries, graveyards aren't sad places or depressing places. They're places where you can go to just walk about, think, hear the bird song. On a good day, maybe see the butterflies, ponder life's mysteries, get ideas, read the gravestones. If you're a writer of stories, as I am sometimes, you can get some interesting names and even some interesting ideas. So if you just randomly look, you've got Charlotte Rochester, Archibald, son of John Frederick and Agnes Brett. John Frederick Brett, Agnes, Ellen. late 19th, early 20th. And, you know, sometimes if you're writing a story, especially if it's a ghost story, it pays to just get an authentic epitaph. Even a piece of poetry or a quote from the Bible or something that you'll find here. But mostly, I think, it's just relaxation. It's good for the mental health, I think, to be here among the quiet dead. Mary Isabella Stuart, granddaughter of the above, departed this life. Now that's always interesting. There you are. That's a very simple inscription. And what happened to Isabella? I mean, John, yes. Isabella, not so much. And there is James Renforth's grave, the scholar whose monument stands outside the Shipley Art Gallery, just up the road, near where I live. Re-erected adjacent to the river. Yeah. Interesting. So, he did not have a long life, but he achieved international fame, as you can see. Nothing new about competitive sport, and I suppose the Victorians invented it. Yeah. Valentine, an excellent name. An excellent name for a character. There's a writer, a very good writer called Mark Valentine, whose stories I've had the pleasure of publishing in Supernatural Tales. Might do in future as well. Excellent writer. It's a great name. I had a character called Valentine in one of my books. He came to a terrible end. It wasn't malicious. I just couldn't think of anything else to do with him except have him killed by the monsters. Many apologies. Harkness, another excellent name. Erected by his fellow workmen and a few friends to the memory of John Harkness, locomotive foreman, North East Railway, Gateshead, died 9th of November 1871, aged 59 years, which I suppose would have been a decent age in those days, but not a great age. Not a great age. And quite a few other names. You'll find there's the name Percy there. Percy, youngest son of the above, killed in action in France, March 21st, 1916, aged 29 years. Yeah. The Richardsons. It only takes a few minutes to find the war dead. A place like this. Not just the war dead of the two world wars, but the various conflicts of empire. Things that are almost forgotten, like Britain's intervention in the Russian Revolution. Stuff like that. It's all over the place. I haven't seen another human being in here so far. It's just after the rush hour, people who are at work. You'd think some people might be walking the dog, but maybe that's earlier. There's a relatively recent interment. Still tended by family. I like the fact that none of them are quite level, quite upright. You can never be quite sure what's the vertical. Subsidence has affected almost everything. Thing that's more than a few years old. That one in particular, I think. But we're on a slope here, so it's another very typical northeast name, Hewitt. Lots of Hewitts. in the vicinity. The sunlight's so bright I'm not quite sure what I'm filming here, so I can't see the screen properly. But yeah. Memory of Anne Livingstone. Barclay. Impressive obelisk there. Who's that? Two? Oh, I see. A wealthy family, one would think. Tucker. Tommy Tucker, in fact. Isaac, Elizabeth, Isaac. Junius. That's interesting. Junius, youngest son of the above. Nice Roman name there. Oop, I nearly fell into a hole. Robert Johnson, not to be confused with, you know, Robert Johnson. Yeah. Okay. And by way of contrast, a broken cross of Frederick Paul, third son of Francis John and Ada Henderson, entered into life, age 6 months. So, yeah, the life to come. Always really sad to see graves of infants. Another one collapsed. I will be done. Very fine funerary urn affair there. And oh, there's a dog. Somebody walking a dog. Died at Heppel-de-Mean. That is a great name for a place. Again, a name straight out of a ghost story. The Phantom of Heppel-de-Mean. St. Mark's. Yeah, interred at St. Mark's. Yeah. I will be done. I will be done. See, it's beautiful. Essentially, a cemetery is a park with gravestones. And I like parks. So, I think there are a few other interesting monuments around, but this is just really an opportunity to have a pleasant walk and think about things. I've just started my, 36th book for my publisher Scare Street. 36 books plus about 100 short stories I've written for them. I must be rolling in money now, right? Yeah, that's not how it works. Not in modern publishing. But I enjoy writing. I think there's a common misconception, I think, about writing. A lot of people would like to have written a book. I would like to have written a book and present it to people as a present instead of something they actually want. Here's a signed copy of my book. I was going to get you a big box of chocolates, but no, here's a signed copy of my book. But I've never really felt like that about it. I've always just enjoyed writing stories, finishing a story, sending it off, starting another one. Which makes me a hack, I suppose. But yeah. Yes, I once met an editor, a guy called Hugh Lamb. This is long before the internet and self-publishing took off, who said everybody should be allowed by the government to publish their own book and be given like 6 copies to put on a shelf and present to family and friends so as to get the bug out of their system. I think that's fair enough. Writing a book is a lonely thing and it's hard work. Oh, what have we got here anyway? More interesting. Oh, there's a Boyd. An early bird there. Well, a moderately early bird has just caught a worm. Don't know if you saw that. And there's a can of an empty lager can. And this is a footpath that leads right the way through the middle of the cemetery. Down to there. There's a dog down there. And there is, if memory serves, it's a while since I've been here actually. If memory serves, I think there's some sort of statue come monument. Certainly a church there, as you would expect. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. That's it, there it is. Big cross. I think it's a cross of victory. Oh, there's a blackbird. One of my favourite birds. Don't know if you have a favourite bird, but the blackbird, its chirpy cheerfulness always impresses. Hello there. I'll get you on camera there. There you go. Chirpy, cheerful. Chirpy, chirpy, cheap, cheap, in fact. So there's two chapels, presumably for different denominations. I don't know. Oops. There it is. Oh, no. That's it. See, it's the Commonwealth War Graves. My name liveth. And the sword up there, the Cross of Victory. This was a kind of standard design that was used for places that couldn't afford more elaborate monuments. Yeah. The Cross of Victory, you often see it in smaller towns and villages. But there are several elaborate war memorials in Gateshead, but that's the one for this particular cemetery. And I think I'll troll home now. Oh, hang on, there's another one of those. One of those sort of rough-hewn stone jobs. Yeah. Well, I'll take the long way around. Apologies for the slightly bumpy camera, because the footpaths aren't particularly well maintained and I'm constantly tripping over things. I'll just have to walk slowly. There's a little canopy down there. I think given the size of this place and given the strictures on local government spending that I think is reduced by about 40% or something over the last 14 years, austerity, I think the place isn't too badly maintained. I wouldn't be surprised if volunteers were involved. But I think a certain air of disrepair and neglect adds poignancy, mystery to a place like this. I'm not so keen on the cans of lager shoved into the gaps in walls, but each to his own. We were all young once. It's an interesting one. Presumably, I don't know, is that an angel, presiding spirit, some Victorian conception of peace, the afterlife? Endlessly fascinating, the Victorians, endlessly contradictory, obsessed with religion and psychic powers and ghosts, and obsessed with science, some rationality, progress. In a sense, we're all Victorians, I suppose. We never quite escaped the era. It evolved and was modified, but it's still basically the same world. Well, that they came up with, industrialised, urbanised, careering pell-mell to who knows what future. Right, that's a nice little timber-framed house there. Well, that is pretty much Gateshead East Cemetery. You can see the view down there. Gateshead is a hilly town and it has lots of nice prospects of various bits and bobs. The river and so forth. I think I'll do the river next. As the summer draws on, the summer's definitely with us now. You can take a riverside walk, that sort of thing. Oh, there's a dog. Right. Yeah. Not bad at all. Nice day. All I have to do is find the exit now. Oh yeah, it's up there. It's up that way. To the right. It's a good place for dog walking though. I mean, as long as you clean up afterwards, everything's fine. Oh. What is that? Oops. Interesting. Duck under the trees. Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of evidence of just straightforward vandalism in a case of a lot of these places, but then over time there's also displacement. Somebody trying to escape. Yeah. Right, oh, some steps to tackle. And then it's off up through the heart of Gateshead, which is not that interesting. And back home to do some work. Well, I call it work, you know. I hope you've enjoyed this little wander. If you're housebound, or if you're not, you know, for whatever reason, I'm happy to take you out somewhere. And as I say, as the summer draws on, the seaside is a very real prospect. Just to have a look at some of the beautiful beaches and seaside attractions here in the northeast, which people don't pay much attention to, because it's the part of England that's furthest from London. Which, I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, probably a bit of both. Well, that's it though.